What up, Quick Talk world? How the heck are you? I have a cool episode today. So this is an interview that I gave. It was a private interview from several years ago. I was still living in Costa Rica at the time, and it turned out really good. And it was with Keith Kalfas, and he had asked me if I could do an in-person interview for his window cleaning blueprint course, I believe it's called. And I said yes, because Keith's a friend of mine, and he's from Michigan. And I went down, we did these videos, and I really didn't see him or think of him since then, but he's decided to take them out of his course and put them on YouTube. See, this is a video you could actually watch if you wanted to as well. But the content we talk about it's just good. It's good. I think it's going to be really, really helpful. It goes into a lot of personal stuff and kind of the story of my journey. Keith has a YouTube channel called The Landscaping Employee Trap in Window Cleaning. He's got like 50,000 subscribers or something, so you should be able to find it pretty easily. The title of the video is Dude Went From Struggling to 150,000 a Month and Shares How He Did It. Private interview, life changer. Okay, so I'm going to play the audio of that now, and I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast with Joshua Latimer, where we discuss business, life, family, faith, struggle, fire, pain, and ultimately winning.
It's time to take massive action. Look, I can't work harder on your life or business than you do. It's ultimately all on you.
You know, God created all the food the birds would ever need, but he doesn't put it in their nest. You've got to go get it.
10 out of 10 people die. So how about doing something today that actually matters while you still can? For all the people in it, we need each other. People, you need to have equals that you can just say, God, you know, I'm failing at this and it's broken and I don't know what to do. But it's inappropriate for you to live those types of struggles out in front of your staff, right? Oh, yeah. You're the leader. You're casting vision. Building a business is really about constructing a machine. Building a business is really about constructing a machine that produces revenue even if you don't touch it. Even if you don't touch it. And really, once I understood that was the goal, I could change my paradigm.
Here right now with Joshua Latimer from Quick Talk Podcast, Automate, Grow, Sell. This guy built a window cleaning business to $150,000 a month. Automated the whole business. You worked 5 hours a week, you said, the last year in your business.
Last 2 years.
2 years,
yeah.
5 hours a week. And then he sold his business and moved his family to Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, pura vida.
So, come on, Joshua Latimer.
We don't talk at all about how to adjust the PSI of the thing and squeegee the perfect thing. It's not about that. It's about how to build the back end of your business, the stuff that is neglected. How do you build a real system where you can put $1 in the top and $2 come out the bottom? That is...
All right, later. Nice knowing you. Peace.
Bye.
Now, it's no secret that having your own business can be very discouraging. It can be very tough. I did an amazing interview with a fellow by the name of Joshua Latimer. It's inside of my Window Cleaning Blueprint online course. I've taken it out of the course. There's like 30 hours of information. There's tons of stuff in there. But I've taken this one interview out of the course and I want to put it on YouTube for everybody to see. It's just so powerful, and I believe that it can change lives. If you're discouraged in your small business and it's just rough, you got to see this interview. Enjoy the video. Let everybody know how you got to where you're at in your story from the very beginning, the struggle to the triumph.
Well, there's lots of ground to cover there because there's lots of struggle and a little bit of triumph at the end. But there's lots of pain and suffering along the way for sure. So I like talking about that part of the story too, because the internet's a really weird place, and so people hear my story or they'll hear about what I was able to accomplish. And when you're down in the gutter or you're just starting and you're struggling and it's not working, hearing stories like that, sometimes it can motivate you, but sometimes it just depresses you because you think, I can never do it. That's impossible. It's not real. And I thought the same things, and I had very humble beginnings. In fact, one of my favorite quotes of all time is from my mom. She always said, Josh, don't despise small beginnings, because everything big has to start small, right? And for me, I was a pizza delivery guy who went to community college for like 10 minutes. I stopped by. That's what I always say. I've always loved education, but never loved that, the college thing. It wasn't for me. It just wasn't. So I got married at 20. I delivered pizza. We lived in a trailer. We had nothing, right?
Yeah.
Living on love. I was the football player. I married my cheerleader girlfriend. We're still married. We have 4 kids now, but we've been going through this whole story together, as a family. But I remember my wife being at the grocery store, with lines of people behind her and trying to buy her groceries, and her debit cards declined, because there's no money. And she's humiliated, and she has to leave all of her stuff there as everyone stares at her, and it's awkward. And that happened multiple times. I mean, I remember people leaving some cash in our mailbox because, they just knew that we were broke, even though we didn't ask. Just by the grace of God, that happened. But it's a very humbling thing. So I've had the whole spectrum.
Hey, real quick, that happened to me too. My wife called me at the grocery store, and our card got declined when I was getting my business off the ground. Mm-hmm. She was so humiliated standing with a cart full of groceries. And to me, I was like, dude, that's the last time, because now I'm affecting, the person that I love. Mm-hmm. And that's whatever it takes to get that drive,
Well, when that happens to your wife, it's the most humiliating thing as a man because we're supposed to leave the cave, club something, and drag it home. That's what we do. And apparently what I clubbed and dragged home was completely insufficient. So when that happens, my wife's humiliated, I'm embarrassed, I feel stupid. But really, you feel like a failure, and you're not a failure, but you feel the weight comes on you. But going from that place to where I am now, there's tons of stuff that happened to us in between. But I can say this: I've been really blessed to have my eyes opened by certain pieces of information, certain mentors, certain online learning tools that I stumbled upon early in my business after spinning my wheels and not really getting it. That really helped me pivot into building a business rather than just being self-employed. And there's a huge difference between those two things. Most small business owners are not really business owners in the way they should view the phrase business owner. They're really self-employed, meaning if you fall off a ladder, you don't get to buy groceries. If you get hurt or sick, you don't have money now, right? So building a business is really about constructing a machine, even if it's small, that produces revenue, even if you don't touch it. And really, once I understood that was the goal, I could change my paradigm. I could take off my I'm a window cleaner trying to make $500 a week mentality, trying to replace my pizza delivery income. I told my wife, if we can just make $500 a week, I'm golden. This would be a dream life, because I love the work. I love being outside and talking to people. Mm-hmm. If I can just get 4 customers, $125 each, I was just I gotta figure this out. But I was thinking so small, and I didn't even realize I was thinking small. And that wasn't wrong, but my point is that fast forward a couple years into my education of hard knocks and pain and suffering, I start to understand that I need to construct a machine rather than just my own job. Mm-hmm. And that having that moment is, I call it your milestone moment, but that changes everything. It flips everything on its head. And so that from that day forward, which is approximately year 2.5 in my window cleaning business, I started trying to build a little machine that didn't require me to touch it every second. And it's a multi-year process. I had a lot of pain and mistakes I made along the way, but the end result is you have a real asset, an asset that is better for your family, it's better for you, it's better for your lifestyle, it creates more freedom, it's better for your employees, creates more opportunity for everybody around you.
Yeah, I want to go back real quick when you said the frustration on a window cleaning job. For those of you that own window cleaning businesses or you're just getting started, once you get a couple guys working for you, that's when it gets fun, because you have a system down, you know how you want everything to be, and as the business owner, at least I know I'm very meticulous, right? So a guy will walk into the house without the shoe covers on his feet. Then they won't put all the screens back, and you'll double check, and you feel like basically they don't do things the way that you would want them to do it, and they'll lie to your face because they don't feel like doing it, and they don't understand on the level that you understand that it's not about how we feel, it's about the client. It's about making this customer happy and getting referrals. So you feel like you're living in a nightmare, being ripped apart, because you have to go and personally double and triple and quadruple check everything down to the most immaculate detail, or for sure it won't get done right. And every time you think it's like thinking you left a burner on at home and you've got an OCD about it, and you turn around and go home and make sure the stove is off. Well, it seems like in your own business, that burner will always be left on if you don't go back 20 times and even in your sleep to make sure that burner's left off. And now you're going to get into, I know you're just getting to the solution to that.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, here's something that is a takeaway for everybody. Every single person that you bring in to work in your company is going to do exactly what you do, but a little bit less, right? And then that next layer, if your business scales and then you bring on someone else that maybe this guy trained this guy's going to do exactly what this guy does, but a little bit less. And so what happens is the wheels just start falling off your business with quality as you start to grow. And so most small artisan companies, I call them artisans, people that are technician, they're OCD, they want to do a great job, they need the glass to be perfect in the thing, if they pressure clean the house, the pH of the chemical, they're passionate, and I respect that. But here's what people miss, okay, is that our job, if we're going to try to build a business and not be self-employed, our job is to be the coach of our team, not the quarterback. And the first instinct when something goes wrong on a job site, like the employee falls short or they miss something or that, is to get frustrated and to jump in there and to try to fix it ourselves. And resisting that urge is super, super hard in the beginning. But imagine a football coach that every time there's a fumble, he got pissed and he runs out there, he just get out of the way, puts the helmet on, and he's like, I'm going to be the running back now, right? Like, that doesn't make sense, right? You can't have a team. Like, of course there's going to be mistakes. Of course they're going to forget the screen. Of course they're going to forget to put the shoes on, right? The question is what can we do as leaders, not managers, but leaders, and we can talk about that later, to build a system or a process to create a company culture, a company core value that we can rally people around. It's not cheesy, it's authentic, right? It's real. And how can you, as the leader of that group of people, slowly, little by little, focus on progress, not perfection, and get it to where those booties not being worn or that screen being left out, it's going to still happen, but how do we make it happen from this many times down to this many times, and then to this many times, and that's really our job when we start to build the machine, is not to focus on. And I have a blog post called this, The Technical Perfection Deception. And what it is
Technical perfection deception.
Right.
Okay,
like,
got you.
we take pride in our work. We launch a company, we're doing lawns, we're doing whatever. And my course isn't just for window cleaners. We have carpet cleaners, we have HVAC guys in there. But whatever it is, whatever your trade is, we take pride as men in the stuff we do. We want to be freaking awesome at it. And that's great. But if you want to build a business, you're going to have to step out of that role and start coaching a new guy who's not you, who doesn't have the passion and vision that you do. And how do you get him to still not fumble the ball? How do you get him to complete the pass?
One interesting thing is I've tried probably in the wrong way in my business is I said, you know what, I'm going to hold these guys accountable for every single little microscopic thing they do. And I found myself riding my workers all day long. Oh, you stepped the wrong, oh, you stepped in a crap, oh, da, 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 da. And it's literally one thing after another, almost like they're children like on training wheels fumbling around and they can't even walk because every single thing they're doing is like
right, and it certainly
wrong.
Doesn't make your life easier doing that. It's terrible for them and for you.
Yeah, and it's torture.
You're getting to the exact...
I've actually thrown my hands up in the air and said, you know what? I'm just happy I know what I'm going to get out of this guy, and that's all I'm going to get out of him. And as long as he keeps doing that, then I'll pick up the rest of the pieces.
Yeah.
And
well, because you're exhausted, because you're the HR guy, the sales guy, we're doing all this stuff. But really what you're getting to is the whole issue between the difference between managers and leaders.
Yeah.
What you described is management. Management's not wrong. Management's an important part of any organization, but it's not the same thing as leadership. So the key is, how do you get people to do the right thing when no one's looking?
Yes.
How that's like the golden secret, right? Now, you can start a window cleaning business, and if you do it right, you can make $1,000 a day by yourself.
Or a carpet cleaning business,
right.
Or any business, right?
And if you're happy to be the artisan, the technician, you don't want to keep it simple, that's fine. For me, a better fit for my family, my future why, my goal, my vision for my life with my kids, I wanted freedom. It wasn't about dollars, it was about being able to create something that produced income, right? So I was obsessed with that. For those guys, for everybody watching this that resonates with you, you have to be a leader primarily and have some management systems and accountability in place because that's important. But leadership is where it can shift. And there's if you want to go down that road, we can talk about that a little bit. Okay. There's a lot to unpack, but the leadership is being the coach, not the quarterback. It's when the ball's dropped, you don't fix it, okay? You rally the team and you're in an encouraging way so that the ball gets dropped less. And what that looks like inside of a small business is through investing into people on a personal level that's authentic, okay? And the very first thing you can do that's easy, okay, without overwhelming yourself if you're already so busy, is to ask yourself, first of all, okay, and this is a hard question for people, would you work for you? You know, what's it like to work for yourself? You know, and it's so easy to say, oh, these guys are idiots, and oh, what an idiot, get out of the way, moron, or let me do it. But really, put yourself, you're a young kid, what's it like to work for you? And you need to examine that, and what we want to do is create a situation to where...
Funny thought when you think about it.
It is, and it can be good or bad. And again, it's not perfection, it's just progress. We want to make progress in all these areas. So one example is like young people are highly influential, and young people, the millennials and stuff that are coming up, like they don't stay at one job for 30 years like our parents did. They don't do that. They float around. There's turnover. There's attrition. No one's reliable, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you get someone to stick? Well, in my company, I had 2 mind maps, right? So I created this thing called the customer life cycle. And I examined every single touch point that a customer has with us from the time they, first call us to the time they're long past us and they've referred us and and what does that look like and how do we engage them? But I did the same thing with my employees. Like, it is a critical foundational principle truth in my companies to invest in relationships with people. That doesn't mean they're not accountable. If anything, when you have a team of people that they know that you care about them and it's authentic and you know their wife's name and you know their life's goal and you know that they have $7,000 in credit card debt and they want to get it paid off this year and you remember that and you're engaging them and not everything's about work, but you know what I'm saying? You're leading by example and you're enthusiastic and you're encouraging, but when they drop the ball, your accountability goes up, right? Those people don't want to let you down, right? So it starts from the first time you interview someone and through the whole onboarding process and training process, and then what a day in the life is like. And a lot of small business leaders drop the ball all the time. They tell them, be the shop at 6. They're there at 6:05. But they're pissed if their employees are at 6:05. They tell them, we're not going to work any Saturdays this month. And then they do it on a Saturday. Or they'll say, whatever, unfulfilled promises, unmet expectations. And from an employee, it takes a toll, right? They're examining us. And they're like, do I buy in? Do I drink this Kool-Aid? Is this real? And if it isn't real, if you're not all in, as a sacrificial leader, that's what I call it. If you're not willing to, lead from the front of the pack and lay down your life for your team, they're never going to get buy-in. And the goal is to create this moment of buy-in. Once that happens, you create leaders, because managers replicate managers. They're going to do what you do, but a little bit less. And then this guy does a little bit less. That's management. Leadership is all about doing the right thing when no one's looking, for a reason bigger than yourself. Bigger than it's just company policy. It's because you are taking ownership for your life and your job position. And if someone leaves your company, they should leave your company saying, you know what? That was good for me. Like, I grew as a person. I grew as a professional. It was hard, but I'll always look back fondly when I worked for Keith, And it's so much more than cleaning something.
That's huge. That happened to me. I worked for a huge landscape company. I got fired for making YouTube videos at work. That's how that changed my life. I had a YouTube channel at work, and I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And they threatened to sue me and everything, but nothing happened. It was fine. But still to this day, I'm like, that company changed my life. I was going home, reading books and listening to audios about how businesses work and watching it happen all around me, watching 150 employees and learning about systems and protocols and all these different things. And there was one main leader there. He was our, direct upper manager, and this guy helped me change my life, brought me to tears plenty of times, taught me about the warrior mentality, and I don't think I would have made it in my business so quickly if it wasn't for that experience. So that does make sense, and he was all in, right, 100% committed. I didn't have any sense of separation that he hated his job or something. Mm-hmm. Like, you bring that into what you're doing, and that's huge.
It's everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build a machine, it's everything. If you want to build a business that serves you and your family, and you're not a slave to it. When you first start a company, I don't typically curse or anything, but your company, it's like it owns you, right? It makes you its slave, right? Mm-hmm. So it demands your time. The phone rings, there's nobody to answer it. You either do it or else you just suck and your business will suck, right? Mm-hmm. But as you grow and you start to bring in a small team, and you start to get a little bit of deal flow consistency, the phone rings, and you got a little activity, some momentum. If you decide that you want to build a business, build the box, the mechanism, put $1 in the top, $2 comes out the bottom, and you didn't touch it, right? If that's the ultimate goal, right? Leadership is everything, right? So you got to be that guy. And, I think that for me in the early part, I kind of was hoping like my employees would save my day. I thought, oh, sweet, I'm ready to hire an employee. Finally, I can do less work now. That's not true. You have to do more work because now I have to bring in this guy, create the systems, protocols, company vision, lead him, inspire him, all this stuff. I gotta just push and drive and make sure I'm paying attention. And it's more work in the beginning for a season, for a short while. But the yield that you get on the back end of producing someone like that who has buy-in is magnificent. You can't even imagine what it does. And doing that makes your business grow because, you have the customer life cycle, the employee life cycle. When you have happy employees, doesn't mean their life's perfect, doesn't mean they don't get stressed out, doesn't mean you don't, make a mistake and they don't make a mistake. But when the general tone of your company is, we're building something special, we all get to be a part of this, we're all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. When you get a little bit of that, and there's lots of tips and tricks I can share on how to do that, when you have that, your customers are happy as a byproduct, really, because customers usually, the large majority, they don't purchase perfection. They purchase a customer experience. They want to be served, right? Mm-hmm. Like, have you ever eaten a Steak and Shake? I know is close when I was driving over here. There's a Steak and Shake. It's fine. I like Steak and Shake. But a meal experience at that restaurant isn't the same as going to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, okay? There's something different there, right? And it's not because, and there's a food quality difference, right? Let's say that the food quality gap's this. But the way that it feels as I eat here compared to here, the gap's probably like this to this, right? So I call that a value gap. And when you have really engaged employees who are really, just it's beating their head in a positive way. There's accountability, but it's just your core value. It's talked about every second, all the time, the customer, the experience. When that happens and your team's out there with buy-in, your customers are getting served, okay? And it creates a lot more perceived value. Guess what happens when there's lots of perceived value? You can demand higher prices. And people that pay higher prices enjoy what they pay for even more. We extract more value. My friend Kevin Dabrowski from Canada, he's a high-end business consultant. The guy's a genius. He has a book called The Whale Vomit Method. Awesome book. Mm-hmm. I think it's out of print, but he talks about this stuff. And your job is to create this customer experience that has a lot of value for the customer. So even though they get a quote for $300 and yours is $500, the way that it felt when they called your company and the way that you gave the estimate and just the high level, just the weird little things you do that are like, this is weird, this company's weird, they answered in one ring, they did the estimate the same day, the sheet they used is better than the other guy who wrote his price on the back of a business card. Oh, then they followed up, and then they weren't pushy, and then when they came into the job, the guy was like genuinely happy to be here, and then they put my knickknacks back in the same order that they took them off my window, right? You can't build a system to say, okay, attention everybody, here's the rule, you got to put the knickknacks back in the way, right? Instead, you create a culture around the idea that we are here to serve and wow and blow our customers' minds with the way that they feel doing business with us. You build that whole process, you get the employee buy-in, and guess what happens to your company? Rocket ship. Rocket ship. Is that good stuff?
Yeah, because the difference between, I'm stuck in this dead-end job and I hate it, it's just enough to make the bills, versus I love my job and we get to go in these huge houses and take care of these customers and clean all these awesome windows. Like, come home and brag about your job because you got to clean some crazy chandelier over a grand piano and look over this koi fish pond.
Yeah.
And
it's just perspective, right? You could have two employees, one's got a bad attitude, and cancerous negative employees are immediately eliminated from my companies. You can have, a little skepticism with the buy-in, but if you're a negative person, if you're that guy that sends your food back every time because it's never done right, you can't work with me. That's incompatible worldview, okay? Negativity is cancer, and it needs to be removed from your business. The problem is with a lot of businesses is that the leader, the guy running the show, he is the cancer.
My first 2 years in business, I was going through hell, and I leaked it out at work. Not often, but a couple times I would come to work and I would just freak out. I would complain to my own workers about what I was going through. What did they do? They start complaining about their life. And then it opened up this Pandora's box where I'm like, now the entire morale of the business went down, the work went down, everybody's pissed off, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
So I learned.
I've done the same thing. I mean, again, where I am right now isn't what I've been the whole time, right?
Yes.
I have a master's degree in pain, a bachelor's degree in suffering, or whichever. So I've done everything wrong, right? And I've done a few things right. And I was fortunate to have really good key team members, really come alongside me to build the company. But you're right. I mean, as a leader, it's our responsibility by itself. Everything that happens in our business is 100% falls on our shoulders. So the screen being left out, it's not that guy's fault. It's our fault. And the booty not getting worn, it's not. Now, is it his fault? Yeah. I mean, logically, of course, put your booty up. But really, we got to do, what can we do to make the guy always wear the booty, right? Not in a way that is a managerial based approach where it's like, if you don't do this, then we write you up and do that. And we did write people up for stuff, but that's the negative reinforcement. Instead, but if you focus on the culture, hey, I need you to come alongside of me. And that has to do with
Covey's 8th Habit, a highly synergistic culture built on trust.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and the Stephen Covey one I like is begin with the end in mind.
Yes.
Which a lot of us miss it. We start a company and we're like,
well, because people are in survival mode. When you start a business, you're in survival mode, trying to.
Well, right before you start the business, think about 6 minutes before you started your business. You're full of hope, dreams, visions of grandeur. There's some reason you're like, if I can just, then someday I can. What's that thing? That's called your why, right? Begin with the end in mind. What happens is we lose it. We get out in the weeds.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. There is another section which we'll publish on tomorrow's podcast. But I really enjoyed going back and hearing that because it's like I don't remember it specifically, and it's like fresh and new to me. And it just was good stuff. And there's more coming tomorrow. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for sharing the podcast, for giving iTunes reviews. I don't want to be beating a dead horse with this, but it's a big deal to what we're doing as a company and the reason behind why I put so much effort into providing these shows every single day. My commitment to you this year is to make a podcast every single day. And I want you to know I'm trying to make high-value podcasts every day, and this is what makes it trickier. There are shows out there like Entrepreneur on Fire, John Lee Dumas, great show. And what he does for his podcast, because it's a 7-day-a-week podcast, is he batches his episodes. So that means that 2 days a month, he'll do like 15 podcasts one day and then 15 the next day. And he does it all at once. And I really want to avoid that. So most of these episodes are done in real time, made and published the day that I do them, or maybe 1 or 2 days in advance. And it's a little risky in case I get sick or get busy or something and I don't want to miss a day. But the reason I'm doing it is I'm putting a lot of effort into trying to be inspired and listening in real time to you guys that have called into the number, to the stuff I'm seeing on Facebook and social media, to questions. I'm trying to really keep my ear to the ground and make everything relevant and fresh because I think it provides for a higher level podcast. So in reciprocation for that, all I ask is that you share in LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, that you keep doing it, that you become a relentless broken record, pushing this show to people that need to hear it, to the people that it can help. And throw an iTunes review out there for me because all those things help us reach more people. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk Podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk Podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.